Hey, this is Joe Dandeneau from Theory of a Deadman, and you're listening to RadioRiff.com.
Welcome to the MattyRocks experience and On the Road with MattyRocks, on location at Mill City Nights in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Joined with special guest Joe Dandeneau, drummer of Theory of a Deadman. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Thanks for having me, man.
It looks like you guys are on a pretty lengthy tour around the United States right now. How's the tour going so far?
Amazing. It's been kind of crazy. The first little bit was a little nuts. We had some fly dates booked in the middle of the tour. We had to fly all the way to Canada to do, which we're on the west coast of Canada. We were in the east coast of the United States. And unfortunately, we had to cancel one of those shows because the airlines decided to have a plane break on us, and they couldn't get us to where we were going. So there was a little bit of confusion in the beginning of the tour. After that, it's been smooth sailing. Shows have been selling great. Crowds have been insane. We're just having a total blast. I think this is probably one of my favorite tours I've actually been on in a long time.
Very nice. Have you guys been to Minnesota? How many times?
Oh, yeah, we've been here a few times, man. Minnesota, we love coming here. This is a big market for us. Fans here just, I don't know, they've got something going on here that we're not quite sure about, but it's exciting to come here every time.
The Midwest, and especially Minnesota, we've got our music down.
You do. You really do. There's something about you guys. You just, I don't know, some other higher level of appreciation or something. I don't know what it is, man. It's awesome.
Joe, if you would, take MattyRocks listeners back to the early years of your life. Give us an insight to where you're from and how music and drumming came into your life.
Yeah, man, I've been drumming since I literally started at 3 years old, no joke. Pots and pans, soup cans, that kind of stuff. I picked up a real set of drums probably age 4, and never stopped since then. My dad was a touring musician in Canada, and they toured all over Canada, opened for the Queen, all kinds of neat stuff, and I was just always around it, and it was just something that was just in my blood, I guess, and I just always wanted to play. So it just kind of spiraled from there, and then I ended up, my parents were very supportive because of the background they had, so, they bought me what I needed for gear, drums-wise, stuff like that, and they'd always just let me practice and be annoying. They would leave the house, that kind of stuff, so I could play, and ended up, becoming... going into high school, playing with high school bands, one of my buddies, which was awesome. But I always wanted to try and take it to the next step, and they were always too busy, drinking and partying and hanging out with chicks. And I'm like, no, let's just practice, man. Let's practice it. Oh no, we don't want to practice, man. It's the weekend. I'm like, fuck. So just I was always the one guy that was always seeming to want to push forward in the music side of it, and everybody kind of blew it off. So I just continually grew and joined different bands that seemed to be more serious than the last. Eventually getting me into a cover band scene in Winnipeg, Canada, which, allowed me to play full-time. I quit my day job, working at the drum shop. And I haven't had a day job for the last 10 years now, because I went from playing in there, doing session work and cover bands, and then all of a sudden I just jumped on with Theory, and it's been...
doing what you'd love to do.
What I love to do. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. It's just been a constant growing experience for me in my life, and just bringing the drums with me and allowing that to be my source of, life, increased pleasure and just job, career, everything.
Yeah, very nice. Everyone has musical influences. Give us an insight to who some of your musical influences were, and who have helped shape who you are as a drummer today.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I think my first record I ever bought was like an actual CD was White Zombie. I think I was like 14 or something like that. So I couldn't buy it on my own because it was explicit lyrics and all that stuff. Right. So I had to get my mom to buy it for me, and I remember listening to that record for the first time, and I was just blown away by John Tempest's drumming abilities and the sounds that were on the record. And it was heavy and exciting. It was just, something I hadn't really been around before. I grew up listening to my dad's band, which was, Neil Diamond covers and shit like that. So I wasn't really brought up on the heavy, stuff like that. So I was kind of influenced by John at first, and then I kind of worked my way into listening to bands like Seven Dust, and so Morgan Roses quickly became a heavy influence on me. Shannon Larkin, and I watched him play back when he was playing in like Aw Man, like bands like way back in the day when I was a kid, and then he joined Godsmack, and so I was very heavily influenced by Shannon as well, and that was kind of funny too because I've become friends with both those guys now, seeing that I'm with Theory and we do the same shows. So it's kind of weird to be friends with my influences, So that was a huge thing for me in my life, was not only meeting my influences, but finding out that they're actually cool, because that's scary. You don't want to meet an influence and yeah, of course. Yeah. So that's huge for me. And I think Brent Fitz, he was the drummer before me in Theory, and he's currently playing for Slash. And he's been almost more of a mentor, as more of an influence, but a mentor for me, just teaching me the ropes, being how to be a professional musician, tour, be a pro.
It's always great to have a mentor as well as
I think everybody
influences.
needs at least one, and he was it for me, man. Yeah, he's taught me a lot.
Very nice. You've been with the band for a short time only. Take us back and talk about the experience and how this whole thing came to be, because it's not every day someone gets to drum for Theory of a Deadman.
Yeah, huge life change for me. But I guess it's pushing 5 years now, I guess. It's almost there that I've been in the band. 2008 I started. I was literally playing in a cover band back in Winnipeg. I was out of town playing in a small little bar, and the drummer, Brent, had called me and said he was quitting to go play with Alice Cooper, and that Theory was looking for a drummer, and he thought that I was the right guy for the part. And so I sent an email to the bass player saying, I'm friends with Brent, and I'd like to, have an opportunity to at least try out for you guys and see if I could be right. And they were like, well, if we're holding auditions in Los Angeles in 2 days, if you can make it in 2 days, we'd love to have you at least come out and try out. So it literally, I before I went on stage that I called my dad. I'm like, look, I got to go on stage right now. You have to phone the airline and book a flight for me for Monday morning. And this was Saturday night, and I was out of town. So it literally was, get home Sunday night from playing, learn the songs they sent me, and then 2 a.m. get back to the airport and fly to Los Angeles and show up with 19 other LA guys all there for the audition as well. So that was kind of, I was nervous. My stomach it fell right out of me. So, and it just, and I was one of the last guys to audition too, so I had to listen to every other guy do the parts, and they're all pro guys, and they nailed every part. So I'm like, oh, I'm screwed, young guy, 24 years old from Nowhereville, playing in cover bands. There's no way I'm gonna get this. And then they ended up calling me back that night and said that they cut 18 guys and 2 were left, and I was one of them. So I went back to Vancouver for the final audition, and it chose me.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a great story. Theory has 4 studio albums that they've released so far. You obviously came in at the end of Scars and Souvenirs.
I came in right at the beginning of the tour cycle. So the record had been recorded, and then I was on the first tour right there. And then I now originally recorded The Truth Is.
Give me something about The Truth that you're most proud of that album.
I think just playing on it, man. For me, it was huge. When they asked me to do the record, that alone right there was that was my high point. I'm like, I get to actually record on a national, successful major label rock band that has not only, become successful, but went platinum on the last record. So that was a huge thing for me, is I had to step up my game and be able to, take the reins and let my ability kind of shine through. So that was nerve-wracking and exciting and everything all in one.
What song on that CD best represents that CD? that project? What's the standout song?
For me personally, or just
For you personally.
I mean, I like heavy tunes, man. So like, I love "Drag Me to Hell." It's not. It never was a single. It's just a heavy album track that I wished had a little bit of spotlight, but it didn't. But it gave me. It allowed me to show a little bit of tech, style chops, if you will, on my part, because everything else is pretty down the pipe, and I played for the song and made sure it was all fit. But "Drag Me to Hell," the producer was like, you play a little more, don't be afraid. It's a heavy song. Just play it like you would play it live. So yeah, they let me, play a little bit, which was fun. So I think for me that was my highlight of that record.
Very nice. 2011, you guys had the privilege to co-headline the Carnival of Madness tour with Alter Bridge. What kind of an experience is that? Because it's got to be an amazing one.
Well, for me personally, it was huge because when I was first time I ever saw Creed, it was the very first mosh pit I'd ever been in, and I got hurt in that mosh pit. And ever since then, I was always a fan. Something about that band really I got it, and I was a big fan of all the musicians in it. And then when Alter Bridge became, which is 3/4 of Creed, I got to finally meet those guys, and that was a big day for me. Was being able to meet Scott Phillips, Mark Tremonti, Brian Marshall, and I became friends with them. And then one day I told them, I'm like, you guys realize that my very first mosh pit I ever was in, it was you guys, and I was hurt. So thanks very much. You suck. I hate you, but I love you. That was big for me to meet them, and then being able to share the stage with them, and being up at that kind of caliber of players. That kind of made a bit of a defining moment for me too, is knowing that I was good enough to share the stage with some of the guys that have, what's the word I'm looking for here? Made a big mark on rock music. Yeah, impacted rock music huge. So it was big for me.
Cool. It's always nice to hear when a band contributes a song to a movie. You guys actually had a movie that was in Transformers. Talk about that song and what it means to you guys to have that in there.
That's huge for us. Any song that we can get in a movie soundtrack is huge. There's so many people that watch movies these days, and we actually have a lot of fans because of these songs. People are like, "Oh man, I didn't know who you were before, and I heard your song on that movie, man, and it just I love the song, so I went and downloaded or I bought your records, and then I ended up falling in love with the whole record, and I went and bought the first record, and I love that one, and had I not have heard your song on the soundtrack, would have never known who you were." So it's a big part of our career is definitely based on soundtracks.
And it's a huge platform for exposure.
Massive platform. I mean, it's Transformers. It's on another scale of movies.
What does the future hold for you, as well as the rest of the band, Theory of a Deadman?
Well, we're hoping we are doing another record, for sure. Probably going to start writing it, hoping early next year. So I think for us, it's just finishing this record cycle with a bang, and then we'll go away real quick, and then come back and hit everybody with some fresh material, some new rock tunes. I'm excited for it. I think that's our big focus right now is just finishing up this record and starting to get some new stuff.
Very nice. And then you and I will catch up again when you come back to Minneapolis.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let MattyRocks listeners know where they can keep up with all the things going on with Theory of a Deadman, and especially all the kick-ass music that you guys are putting out.
Yeah, you can find us all over the internet. We have theoryofAdeadman.com. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. I have a personal Twitter page. My bass player has a personal Twitter page. There's all kinds of avenues where you can find us. YouTube, there's footage everywhere. We have our own YouTube channel. Where else can you find us? I mean, iTunes. Go to the store, buy the records. We're anywhere you can think of. We're there. We're all over. We'll find you.
If you had the opportunity to send a message out to MattyRocks listeners all around the United States who are going to potentially hear this interview, as well as around the world, what would you like to say to them?
Welcome to our life as Theory of a Deadman. We are non-stop touring musicians that will try and be everywhere we can. We tour absolutely everywhere we can, play for as many people as we can, and check out our new record, The Truth Is, right now. It is in stores. And our new single is just about to get released to rock radio, Gentlemen. So check that out.
Very nice. Continued success to all of you guys in the band. And thanks for taking your time out for doing this interview. Yeah. And I want to let everyone know that I hope that when I walk out of here, I'm going to walk out of here with a set of drumsticks from you. So hopefully you can pull some out.
Yeah, we could. I guarantee that's going to happen.
Because they're going to go on the wall with Morgan Roses.
Done deal.
Right on.
Done deal.
All right, you've heard it here, MattyRocks listeners, on the road with Joe Dandeneau, drummer for Theory of a Deadman. Thanks again for the interview.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
MattyRocks out.
Killer.